Rockin' and a rollin', my friends.
And that octave is really cool because you hear it. You have to break down a stereotype little by little.
Yeah, we can shut them up now.
Yeah. I can't see anything. I have my eyes closed. There's nothing going on.
Pedal number 1.
Okay.
Did I mention there was a time limit?
There is.
Time to take the blindfold off and let's see if you nailed it. If you see it, it sounds good. If it feels good, go for it. Yeah, awesome. That was great. Hey everyone, Dinesh here from Gibson, and I am very excited today because we have a special guest on our show today. I've got Epiphone signature artist Emily Wolfe in the house. Please give it up for my girl here. Very awesome. I am so stoked to have you here.
Thanks.
We have a lot of geeking out to do.
We do. I mean, it's so fun talking to you about gear. It's one of my favorite things, so I'm really excited to be here.
And there's plenty of it to talk about.
Tons, yeah.
Instead of just geeking out super heavy, I want to get in to really about the purposes and the applications of why you selected the gear that you have, your approach to songwriting, playing in a band, and just in general, I'm just excited to just really get more philosophical as opposed to, what diodes are in your distortion pedal, But we can talk about that too. Start with the basics here.
Yeah.
What got you started into the instrument and playing guitar?
Oh man, I started when I was 5 on an acoustic.
Wow.
Yeah, I walked into a pawn shop with my mom.
Sure.
And saw this harmony guitar that was acoustic and very small and perfect for 5-year-old hands. And so she ended up getting it for me because I begged her for it. But I remember looking at it and it was, I was like, that's the coolest thing I've ever seen.
Nice.
And I have to figure out how to make that a part of my life. So, I plucked around on it. I had a lesson. My teacher, I had one lesson and my teacher said that I was not good. So
wow.
I think that maybe is part of my drive to be as good as I can be.
Yeah,
but,
sure.
Yeah.
And hopefully that teacher's watching right now so they could be like, I was totally wrong.
Yeah.
So you get the acoustic guitar. What do you start playing? What are some of the early influences that like what were you playing on this thing?
Wow. So at the very beginning, I tried to play some Jewel songs on acoustic,
okay.
which is, it's looking back, that's interesting because she's honestly a great guitar player, especially on acoustic. And anyway, but the years go by and I get into electric, and then in college I got really into B.B. King and Stevie Ray Vaughan.
Nice.
And Queens of the Stone Age at the same time.
Very cool mix. Cool mix.
Yeah, and so I kind of tried to meld those and see if I could somehow come up with a style that is identifiable, because that's my favorite part about Stevie Ray Vaughan and B.B. King and Josh Homme is you can hear a recording and be like, oh, that's Stevie. Because
Sure.
of the way he bends and the tone and everything. So I really wanted to figure out a way to be that identifiable as a guitar player.
Nice. That's funny you mentioned that. We talked about this as well earlier, like the foundation being blues.
Yep.
I've noticed there's a big difference in players that maybe don't start off with blues in their playing versus players that do. One of the advantages we talked about was just the bending of notes and getting them to ring out and sustain. Really helps, number one, with accuracy and hearing pitch, in your head, and as well as just the physical aspect, you know. Nothing wrong with starting off on anything, of course. More power to anyone out there that just picks up a guitar and plays whatever they want to play on it.
Right.
But I do think, we talked about it being the gateway or foundation to rock in general, And you, obviously from the Austin area, I think the influences that you talked about, I see it come across in the playing as well. And it's cool because I think you're right. You took some of that and then you took some of the modern, weird kind of pushing into the boundaries of stuff that the Queens does.
Yeah.
Especially with the fuzz and all
Right.
that kind of use of that,
Yep.
So you mentioned electric guitar. What was your first electric guitar?
It was called the Slammer Hammer.
Nice.
It was a Strat model.
Okay.
It was $100.
Yeah.
It was my second guitar from the Harmony that I mentioned earlier, but I don't know what happened to it. It's gone. I think maybe my mom sold it in a garage sale or something like
This
that.
can happen. This can happen to the first guitars. Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, electric guitar was significantly easier on the fingers as a new player than acoustic.
Sure.
So I definitely developed, I guess, the calluses from that. You
Right.
know? And then I don't know, it just feels, it's more exciting for me to play an electric instrument because you can go as loud as you want. And a lot of times, you know, I play a lot of small clubs. And when I was starting out, I did acoustic songs and I could always hear the audience talking over me. And that's when I was like, you know what? If I'm louder than them, I won't notice it.
Yeah, we can shut them up now. Yeah.
And so that's kind of one of the reasons why I started playing electric. And I just never looked back.
Sure.
Yeah.
No, that makes sense. So you're playing your signature model today,
Yes.
which I love. This guitar is fantastic. Give us a little rundown on this. The one thing I wanted to ask you, you know, besides the specs and all that, but like, why'd you go? I'm just curious about the semi-hollow body, especially for a lot of the stuff that you play, which is a little bit more edgier and harder, you know. Why'd you decide to go with the semi-hollow body over like a solid body?
Well, I love semi-hollows because I am the front woman of a 3-piece. So I travel with the bass player and a drummer. And I have to figure out how to fill a lot of sonic space.
Okay.
And the way to do that is feedback. Like for me, it's like, you know, I could show you a little bit. So I'll just hit a clone on, but so I'll use the feedback to my advantage on stage in order to kind of give it a pad-like feel. And
that was just ringing forever just now.
I know. That's the thing I love about 335s is they sustain so well. And it's like, that's what draws me to it because I can bend and just keep it there and be in that moment.
That's funny that you were just talking about like embracing the feedback because I know a lot of players are going to be like, I can't use the hollow body on stage. It's going to feedback. And I mean, you know, I think back to like Jimi Hendrix where it was like feedback was like a weapon. Yeah. You know, and like a part of the songs, you know. That's interesting that you're in, and I love the fact that you're embracing the feedback thing. Because you're right. You're fronting, you got to cover a lot of ground.
Yeah.
You know, traditionally people perceive hollow body or semi-hollow bodies as like jazz or like kind of bluesy guitar. They don't really think about it in a rock sense, and I'm glad to see it used in that way because I think we, you know, as players, we got to really break down those stigmas and like those stereotypes.
Yeah.
Like these guitar and style, like this guitar equals that style, that guitar equals this style. It's like, well, not necessarily. Like,
totally.
You know.
Yeah.
And how long have you been rocking your signature model?
This came out last year. Well, actually, 2021.
Okay.
I think.
Yeah.
So I guess a couple years, and it's just I mean, it feels like a part of me. It feels like my favorite pair of jeans. Just putting them on, and it just fits in my body. And
I love the gold that's not shiny.
Yeah.
I totally think that's great.
Me too. It makes it look more expensive than it is.
Well, I mean, for the price point, like that's a fantastic guitar. And I know you did the you know, the diamond sound holes, which is great. That's like the higher end Trinis and Dave Grohl models.
Right. You know, I wanted to give that opportunity to Epiphone players because if you want diamond F holes, you got to really drop some dough.
Sure.
Unless it's this model. So, I mean, I and it just looks really fierce. So it's an exciting thing.
And I love the lightning bolt inlays.
Thanks. Yeah.
Nice touch there.
Yeah, I just wanted to do something a little different. It's one of those things that's really subtle and you have to be up close to look to really see it. But that's like kind of the embodiment of the quiet confidence of this guitar.
Sure.
Me. Yeah. But
so one of the things I want to get into is just your overall approach on dialing in your sound. I see you brought your pedal board with you, which is looking fantastic, by the way. I have so many questions. I know we won't have enough time to go through all of it, but maybe just the fundamentals. Because when I saw you perform, when we did the shoot the other day, or yesterday, you really used the board as an instrument. I saw you interacting, turning knobs, and man, it's been such a long time since I've seen that. Like, I think of Johnny Greenwood from Radiohead, you know? So it was so great to see things dialed in that really were just not like, okay, I have a chorus on. Well, it had a very distinct thing, and it sounded like you.
Cool.
So I wanted to get your take on, like, you know, you show up to a gig, what do you do? What are you looking for? What are your go-to, you know, meat and potatoes kind of thing, you know, for setting up your tones?
Right. So my board is almost like, it's as important as my guitar, I would say, in my sound.
Yeah.
I love pedals and creating different soundscapes with pedals. But so I go into a clean amp. It's got to be clean. It can't be overdriven at all because I want these 7 core sounds that I have to shine through that preamp.
And those are mostly you've got overdrives and distortions and some fuzzes.
Yeah, so I've got a fuzz. It's a dirt transmitter with a Earthquaker Devices tentacle underneath the board.
Yeah.
But it's an octave pedal, and it sounds not great by itself. But when you pair it before a fuzz, it really brings out this high end that I love, especially in the neck pickup. So. So
killer, yeah.
Yeah, and that octave is really cool because you hear it on the neck pickup a lot. But if I switch to the bridge, kind of crazy.
Nice.
So it's like it sustains a lot too. I love the neck pickup. I'm on there a lot. The next sound I have is an OCD. It's just a kind of a medium gain drive.
Classic.
And then a Klon, a KTR, which I love. That pedal is kind of the, I guess, the role model for all other pedals volume-wise.
Okay.
So, because something about the Klon, it's so special to me because it's got this perfect mid-range for what I'm doing. So.
Gotcha.
You hear like the full frequency and it like sticks out, you know. And so I don't need an EQ with that thing.
I was gonna say it kind of tightens up some of the low end too when you're on the end.
Yeah, so that's like I say my cleanest tone is that KTR that's slightly overdriven.
We did ask you this yesterday. I was like, "Did you want a clean tone on the amp?" You're like, "I don't really use the clean." So real quick before I get to the fuzz, you said something about the dirt fuzz. You put something else on in front of it or after it, was it that you were saying?
It's right before it.
Right before it. Okay, got it.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like hitting the fuzz to because it's interesting with fuzz pedals, you know, a lot of the like legendary fuzz tones that we hear on recordings, you know, they're going through like a cranked amplifier. And I remember like, you know, just trying out a fuzz pedal for the first time, like a fuzz face or something, and putting it through like a clean amp, and it was like terrible.
Yeah, it really
ripped my head off.
Yep. And that's why I love EQ. Like, if someone were to say, what's your most necessary pedal, it's EQ. Because
that's a big one,
because fuzz naturally gives you that mid-range scoop, and you're not going to be heard. You have to pump those mids to fit in a mix and also be heard.
And you've got 2 EQs going, I see.
Yeah,
wow.
I've got an EQ for each overdrive. So the fuzz has an EQ after it to sculpt, take some of the lows out, pump the mids, take a little bit of the high end out.
That's smart, yeah.
The OCD also has an insane amount of low end, and it's crazy. Like,
wow.
So
wow, okay. Yeah, that's almost all the way off almost. Wow.
Yeah, it's crazy. Especially with this guitar. If I was playing, you know, a Strat or a Tele, it'd be a lot different.
You would shape it differently. That's a good point. I mean, I think that's a good EQ tip for anyone that's watching as well that may be new to EQ. Don't be afraid to, you know, tailor it towards whatever guitar or amp you're playing. I mean, it's a great tool for that. There isn't a wrong setting, but, you know, like Emily just said, she uses it to doctor up or to modify the sound that's coming out of a pedal in general. So sometimes when we think something might not work out, I mean, an EQ is a great way to, I also look at it as a good way to switch guitars. Like what you just said, like if I'm going from a guitar like this to a P90s or single coils, it's also a great way just to like shift real quick so it's not, I think Billy Gibbons does a little bit of that where it keeps the EQ kind of consistent.
Yeah.
no matter what guitar he's playing, kind of thing.
Right.
So that's super smart. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's interesting because sometimes I think, why would I get a pedal that, you know, so the OCD has a ton of low end.
Yeah.
And by itself, it's a bit unusable if I don't have EQ. But I love the way it feels under the fingers so much, and it doesn't compress my amp. So that's why I have to have that pedal. The only way to use it is to sculpt the EQ. That it's necessary, but I mean, it really, you can turn a drive into whatever you need it to be with an EQ pedal.
That totally, I totally agree with that. That's super true. And the amp wise, since you're using, in case, you know, whoever's not watching realizes, you know, you're touring, you're playing live a lot, you're probably getting to a place, as everyone know, you know, if you don't know, it's definitely a lot cheaper to not, you know, travel with your equipment because you're paying for the travel fees of cartage, you know. So a lot of times venues will have backline amps. So you're usually seeing an amp where you know, it might just be something that you have to set usually clean, right? Because again, she's bringing her pedal board with her. That's her paint box with all her paints in there. It's her tool. It's your toolbox.
Yeah, it's like canvas, I think. Yeah,
so you can go wherever you want, and you know, dial in, and you're gonna dial in your amp pretty clean.
Yep.
Get the volume you need, maybe a little reverb, and then the pedals can do the talking for you. As opposed to you having to grab, you know, whatever amps you're using and lug those around.
Yeah.
This came in a pretty big case.
I know.
I saw that.
It's as small as I could get it. It's 47 pounds.
Right under
right under that 50-pound
Yeah.
mark, where it's, you know, they'll charge you an oversized baggage fee if you're flying.
Yeah.
So it's 47, nailed it. And the thing is, it's like, I haven't changed these pedals in 2 or 3 years.
That's great.
Which is crazy because when I started getting into pedals, I had to trial and error everything. I bought so many pedals and sold them even sometimes the next day on Reverb, just to try them and really find what worked for me.
Right.
So yeah, it's honestly like, I'm still really kind of shocked that I haven't changed anything, but it's just a sign that I really did find the right things, because I don't want to change anything else.
And when you talk about changing stuff and all that, like, are you picking your pedals and are you using your pedals more for, is it more like, you know, is it to recreate songs off your recordings and your records, or is it just for your self-expression at the moment, or is it like kind of like just a journey that you're on? Like, what's the main focus for grabbing the certain collection that you have? Like, what's the purpose?
Right. Well, I guess it's a mix between trial and error and then hearing what's in your head and being able to identify what that is. But so my trial and error journey with pedals is kind of what led me to realize what my sound would be, which is the tentacle, a fuzz, and an EQ. Like, those are the main core things that allow this guitar to really speak the way I want it to.
Yeah.
So it's that, and then, you know, if I want to really like shock myself out of the moment, I'll throw on a crazy hard tremolo. And then if I want to mess with it, because that's really fast and it kind of gives me anxiety, which is good sometimes when you're playing, but like, you know, I'll reach down. And kind of find like a rhythmic thing with it sometimes, because sometimes on stage I just really want to create something on the fly.
Can you give me a little sample of some of the, you were doing something the other day with you have a DD500 for the delays. Can you give us like a little freak out weird thing, like with the Flint and with the DD500?
Yeah.
And some of the craziness just for a second here.
For sure. So let me set the Flint. So the Flint is great because it's 2 pedals in one, essentially.
Yeah.
You get a great tremolo and then a great reverb.
Sure.
But on the DD500, I love this delay because you can set it. You can save 3 different settings. So I've got a slap, kind of a longer slap, and then a longer delay.
Yeah.
And then this really weird cathedral thing where it's almost like a slow attack kind of pedal. So it goes.
That's
forever.
awesome.
I know, it's so fun.
That's great.
But then sometimes I just want to get really crazy because there is a lot of the same, you know. Like I want to give people a little bit of a weird, like, whoa, what was
Sure.
that? Usually I'll throw on a chorus if I want to give myself and the audience something weird, something that they aren't used to hearing. So. Like that's really weird because you've got that, you know, that modulation in the tone, but you've also got the octave. And then with the DD500, it just makes it a little bigger. So that's like how I would use the weirdness of it. And
That's
then
awesome.
if you throw in like a choppy tremolo with it, it's crazy. So something like that.
That's like straight to Mars. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That was the things that caught my attention because, you know, I've got a tremolo at home, but I don't ever use that setting.
Yeah.
I'm always just like the normal, you know, tremolo setting thing.
Right.
And you know, sometimes we forget like just that traditional sounding pedal can do so much more than that.
Yeah.
And I know under the board, we don't have enough time today to open it up because I wanted to see the second tier underneath. You've got a compressor.
Yep. I've got a Cali 76.
Yeah.
I love that compressor.
That's a great compressor. Yeah.
Yeah. It allows my fingers to, it just feels really good under the fingers.
Yeah.
It almost makes playing easier.
Sure. I can see that. Yeah.
So yeah, I use it for that. And then I've got an MXR Q zone, which is a cocked wah kind of thing, which
That's
is that
cool.
very like Queens of the Stone Age thing, like. It's that really like mid-range kind of weird.
That's
filter
where it's
thing.
like a fixed wah, and you can just set it in one frequency range of the wah.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. That's great.
Yeah.
I forgot about that pedal. That's a good.
It's
one
really
yeah.
cool. It's really there's a lot of possibilities in it. And then I've got a pitchfork, which is just like a lower octave.
So-
If I want it to sound real mean. And then the tentacle, the Earthquaker tentacle, which is that higher octave. So if I have the low octave from the pitchfork and the fuzz with the tentacle on, it's just like lower, higher, and the regular guitar dry. Which is kind of like the Jack White approach. I think he uses it with a Pog, but that, you know, you've essentially got three different tones in one.
Sure. And I see you got the switcher, which I have not made the transition yet to the switcher, man. I'm still tap dancing.
Yeah.
But it's just after seeing it like right now too in front of my face. I mean, I've seen other videos of people having switchers, but like after just seeing it too, it's like, yeah, I get it. I get it why you would want the switcher. You know what? I'm gonna jam real quick on that intro progression.
Yeah.
And could you just give us like a little like just run through like on the fly kind of thing?
Yeah.
I just want to show everyone like in motion how the madness is
Totally.
put together.
Yeah. let's do
Okay,
it.
cool. What was that? The intro thing. 2, 1, 2, 3. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's great. That's great because you're like building parts
Yeah.
while it's happening. You
It
know?
just makes it more interesting, like for the audience and for myself, because you get to throw paints at a canvas.
Sure.
In a musical way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, speaking of canvas, audience, building parts, how does all this kind of work together, like in the writing process and like from writing to band?
Well, I got really into making demos. I essentially record a record in my home studio, which is very small and very like bare bones.
Are you doing like all the drum programming and all that as well?
So,
oh wow, okay, great.
Well, that's the thing is my first lesson with guitar, my teacher said I was bad, and he said, why don't we teach you drums instead? So that's technically my first instrument is drums.
Oh, right.
But so, yeah, like I live in a townhome and I can't be loud. So I got a cheap little electric kit, hooked it up to Easy Drummer, which is actually Steve Albini's drum tones.
Oh, nice.
Which is great. So I'll play the parts, I'll make up the drum parts, then I'll do the guitar and then the vocals, and everything kind of melds itself, mixes itself into the song. And then I'll take those demos to my band and say, can you guys learn this? And sometimes, yeah, so sometimes, you know, they'll be like, hey, like this part is a little busy. What do you think about this? And I'm like, that's awesome. Or I missed that. So they're very, very good musicians in the way that they understand the leader of the band and the writer of the song has the vision. Yes. You got to complement that vision.
Yes.
And that's what's going to get you rehired, to be honest with you. If you're a side person, like that's what's going to... Yeah. It's about the long game. You got to really focus on, all right, how do I benefit the song that this person wrote? Instead of, well, you should do this, or you should do this, or I want to take my solo. It's not about you. It's not even about me. It's about the song.
You're absolutely right. And I think that makes the difference between, like you said, who gets hired and who gets rehired.
Yep.
It's one thing to play. So it's interesting. It's really cool that you let your band, interact like that. Because I'm firm a believer on like, okay, here's the demo. I'm not saying that it needs to be written in stone like this, but if you can bring something else to the table, that is in the same mindset,
right?
You know, complementing the song, like you were saying. I'm all for it. Like that totally makes sense because it's almost like a physical thing versus like a listening thing. Like, you know, sometimes you want to get something out and it's like, well, let me hear that back because like maybe that part really didn't need to be there, but like I physically felt like it needed to.
Right.
But then like having to hear it.
It's so important to find the right band and the right people around you because the ones who are the right people they understand that this is your project if you're a solo artist and they want to lift you up and like that it takes a really special person to do that. And I found that in my band, which is really rare and exciting. But you know, it's playing with other band members is trial and error too, just like pedals.
Sure.
You know, if you don't vibe with somebody, be straight up and say, I think maybe we should, you know, not play together. Or if you really like playing with somebody, make it known. Tell them that they are valued by you know?
No, I think, you know, and it doesn't hurt to have a good hang.
Yeah, I mean, it's all about the hang. If you're touring, being in a tour band with somebody, touring is, you know, 45 minutes of a show and 8 hours of a drive. Plus you're, you know, sharing a hotel room with them. So it's like the emotional and you know, connection that you feel with someone that you're playing with is as important as the music itself.
Right.
To me.
And like you said, if you've got the vision, you've got the home studio. It doesn't matter how good the equipment is, as long as you can get the ideas down and they're organized. That's what really matters. Mm-hmm. I think a lot of time we get hung up too on like, I know myself. Like I'll be like, man, I want to record this stuff at home, but like I don't have this preamp or I don't have this microphone. It's like, well, at the end of the day, the idea had to come out. Mm-hmm. And it needs to be out there, otherwise the idea doesn't exist. So it's like, let's just get it together. And it is a little bit easier, a lot easier to be able to show a band a full finished, or not full finished, but like, here's the idea, let's run it.
Yeah.
I'll notice a lot of things will come out in rehearsal.
Right.
And I rely, you know, for me, also playing drums, like I rely on the drums a lot too. So like, I could hear something at home that I programmed on drums, but then like going to play it with the band, it's like, you know, that pattern kind of didn't work. Yeah. What are you thinking? Totally. And you know, and if it's a drummer with a good ear, they'll be like, yeah, let's just keep it simple. Mm-hmm. You know, I'll tend to overcomplicate, of course. And it's like,
me too.
Like, yeah, I'm just gonna play time here. And you're like, didn't even think about that.
Yeah.
So that's really interesting and you know, refreshing to know that that's how it comes out. The solos and stuff, are you playing the same thing twice, or is it all like on the cusp and then you got to learn it? Like, what's happening with the solos?
It depends. A lot of times when I write, I'll either start with a drum beat or a riff and then work from there. Or even like a sentence or something. I even have a note on my phone where if I hear something interesting in the world, I'll write it down or type it down on my note. and it's super long. I've had it for a few years. And if I'm stuck writing a song, I'll reference back and be like, huh, the word, sycophant is crazy and interesting. Let me write something around that. Let me research this word. What does it mean? Somebody who fakes being nice to you? Okay, that's great. And then you'll go down this rabbit hole. But, planned out riffs to me are really cool because it's a hook, it's like a really interesting thing that you can whistle to yourself.
Right.
So that's kind of where it starts. Sometimes a song will start with a drum beat on toms or whatever, but something that I think is interesting is, for me, songs come out very gradually. It's rare that a full song is finished right there because I have to think of all the parts and I have to figure out what complements each instrument, what allows each instrument to sing itself. So essentially, I'm trying to mix in my head and write. So it's all very it's all there.
Sure.
But yeah, I think writing is something that takes practice. I started writing when I was 15, and it just wasn't good. It's not going to be good when you first start, but that's okay because it gets better with time. Just like practicing guitar, learning pedals, it's just one of those things that you can't be afraid to fail or try something weird, and you can't judge yourself for whatever comes out. So whatever the most honest thing is usually the best thing. So it's very interactive.
Yeah, I could see that for sure. And that's what makes it so special, and that's why we do it, right?
Yeah.
And that's a lot of great advice that you just gave us for any new players out there. Someone just starting off.
I really try and put myself in the audience perspective because they're the ones coming to the show. They're the ones buying your ticket, supporting your career. They're the reason you're there.
Yeah.
So give them something pleasing that sits in the ears really nice. That's why tone is so important to me because, if I'm at a show and the treble is blasting, I can't be there. I have to leave.
Sure.
Because it rattles my brain so much, and it's I can't be the only one who feels that way. So that's why tone is one of my favorite things, and dialing it in is so important.
Speaking of dialing in tones, we've got something special coming up. Before that, I thought it would be really cool to do this next exercise.
Okay.
I heard that you're a fan of unboxing videos.
Yes. Oh my God. I look those up and just watch them. Zen puts me in a great mood. I like to see, it's like watching somebody on Christmas Day and just the reveal.
Reliving that moment because, there's not enough Christmas gifts. Let's face it.
Love it.
I totally get that. Okay. And some people get crazy with it. They got the gloves. There's a little heavy breathing involved. Which is very interesting to me as they get more into opening stuff. I've got something here that I thought would be cool for all our viewers to see you unbox.
Okay.
A special surprise.
Yes.
So I'm very excited as well. So I'm going to go grab that real quick.
Okay.
Give me 2 seconds here. Okay. I'm going to let you tackle this.
What an exciting
Here, I'll grab that guitar from you.
Brand new Epiphone box. All right.
For me. Okay. Special unboxing.
Special unboxing. Wow. Let me see.
You might need to stand up for a little leverage.
Yeah, let me see if I can get some leverage here.
There you go.
All right, there we go. Oh, man. You hear that crack?
I'm excited because I don't really know what's in there, but bubble wrap is good.
Love that bubble wrap. Let's see.
Yeah, here you go.
Here, you take, it's a guitar, so yeah.
Okay.
Let's see. Oh my gosh.
Now you might know what it is, but I'm kind of.
It feels like a 335.
Uh-oh.
That's for sure.
Okay.
Okay. We got the box done. That was great.
Getting that out of here.
Let's see. What this is. Oh!
Holy smokes.
The white wolf.
Wow.
Yep. This is the second installment
Wow.
of my signature. It's a white one.
That is stunning. Holy
Showstopper.
smokes.
Yeah. Gosh.
That is killer.
So great.
Okay, so basically, it's your signature model. What is this? This is the bone aged white, is it?
Yeah, bone white with aged gold hardware.
I love that. I love the non-shiny
I know.
gold. That
it's
is
just like,
wow.
It makes it less new looking, you know? Like
That's
when
killer.
I get a guitar and it looks brand new, I'm just like, how do I make this look more worn in, you know?
Sure.
But yeah, it kind of comes that way with this hardware.
That just looks killer.
Yeah. It's great. It's the exact same guitar as the Stealth,
just
but it's just white.
Yeah, that's great.
I like that they kept the headstock black though. That's really cool.
Nice.
And then the back.
Yeah.
Still got that
Can you guys see that out there on the cameras?
Cool.
That is just awesome. I love white guitars. I used to have a white Les Paul Custom, and I think I definitely need to revisit that. Why'd you go with the white? I'm curious because I always see black. So
yeah. It's one of those things, even creatively, you know, us as guitar players, we can fall into ruts. And in that situation, one of my favorite things to do is the complete opposite thing that I wouldn't do, you know, that I would. And the opposite of black is white. So I went with white, and I wanted something that had a little more pop on stage.
yeah.
So yeah,
No, it looks fantastic in white. That is just awesome. I love the diamond sound holes.
Yeah, diamond sound holes.
Of course, we talked about that earlier, but I mean, seeing it in white is just killer.
Yeah.
I got a wild idea.
Okay.
We briefly touched on this at some point. We were thinking about doing this, but now might be a good time. I say you sign that,
Okay.
and we put it back in the case and back in the box.
Okay.
Maybe someone gets lucky and they end up with it.
That'd be
Kind of like
great.
the golden ticket,
Yes.
the Willy Wonka method.
We got to do that. Let's do
I think you gotta
All
do
right.
it.
Should I do it on the front?
I think you should do it on the front.
Okay.
I think, well, yeah, let's sign the front, and you know what? We're going to put it back in the box, and, you know, it's going to be golden ticket time. That's a killer idea. I don't know if any
Let's
guitar
do it.
company's ever done that before,
Yeah.
but I think we should just do it.
Let's do it. All right. Let's go for it. I'll just do it. There we go.
Awesome.
Got it.
There it is. There it is. Yeah.
Nice art piece. You know?
So good luck out there. There we have it. It's signed and ready to go.
Yeah.
We'll see where it ends up.
Hopefully somewhere cool. I don't know.
I'm sure it will. Yeah. It's
Yeah.
gonna just, I think it's a little crazy, but I think it's awesome, you know.
I hope it ends up in someone's bedroom and they fall in love with it and
They
just
frame it over their bed. We got to do something. This is that time in the video where things are going to get a little crazy. We promised something crazy. We talked about hearing versus seeing. A lot of times we see with our ears. I don't know if that even makes sense, but you know what I'm saying.
Yeah.
I'm guilty of it. I'll see something and I think it's going to work out, and then when I hear it, it doesn't. I have an exercise for us.
Okay.
You know your stuff, so I'm really excited to go with this concept of blindfolding you
Okay.
and having you dial in a couple of pedals
Cool.
and then telling us what you think those pedals are. Pedal number 1.
Okay.
It is right here. I'm going to go ahead and turn everything to 0
Okay.
on all of them so we can start fresh, okay?
Cool.
Okay, so I'm going to guide your hand.
Yeah.
Here is the first pedal.
Okay.
Okay, here we go. Pedal number 1.
Okay.
Did I mention there was a time limit?
There is?
Shoot, I should probably mention there's a time limit.
Let's see. All right. Huh.
Okay, this pedal's not on.
There we go.
No, it is.
Yeah? Okay.
But right now the pedal's off.
Oh, gotcha.
There we go.
That's definitely a fuzz. Yep. That's the volume. Gain. Are there any dip switches? Oh, wow. definitely a fuzz.
Okay, awesome.
Feel confident.
That's your final answer?
Final answer.
Okay, and the tone you've got, you're cool. You can rock something out blindfolded.
It's real scooped. It's real. Let me. Real bright. There we go. Yeah.
Nice. All right, moving on. That sounds good. Moving on. Pedal number 2. All right.
There's your volume. I think it's an overdrive.
Okay.
Yeah, it's not as intense as a distortion, so I wonder if there's a dip switch. Nice. That's your tone. Overdrive.
Okay. Last pedal.
Okay.
Okay, last pedal. I'm throwing it in front of you. It's tilting a little bit. I'm sorry because the cables are doing such.
That's okay.
There's the last pedal there.
All right. Let's throw that on. Okay, I think this is a distortion because it doesn't have that Velcro-y attack like a fuzz does.
Okay.
But it's got straight up distortion, you know? I think that's a distortion.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
All right, so now, pedal number 1,
Okay.
you said was a,
I said it was a fuzz.
okay. Pedal number 2,
That was an overdrive.
and then pedal number 3, you say,
Distortion.
okay. Time to take the blindfold off and let's see if you nailed it.
Did it work? Oh my God, I did
You
it.
nailed it. You know your gear.
That's awesome.
You know your tones.
Dang.
That was very impressive, and that was very fast.
I'm proud of myself.
That was great.
Great.
I like the fact that you were searching for the tones, and this just goes to show you folks, like, you dial in with your ears, not with your eyes.
Definitely.
It was really nice to see you dial it into like usable tones, which was just really great to see. That happens a lot on gigs. Your pedals might get moved, your knobs might get moved. You know, you might get on someone else's rig and you have to dial stuff in really quick. Well, I want to thank you so much for joining us today. It's been a real pleasure. There's not enough time.
Yeah.
That we could be going on for hours. I wanted to also let the audience know, if you want to, just tell us what you got going on and then what's coming up, know?
Yeah. I'll be touring all year. I've got a new record coming out in the summer this year.
Okay, nice.
So it's 12 new songs.
Yeah.
I produced it myself.
Whoa.
Yeah, so it's I'm really excited about it.
Very
I think
cool.
There's a lot of guitar on it, a lot of cool tones, a lot of weird tones.
I like that.
Yeah,
I like that.
I'm very excited.
What is the, do we know the name of the new record yet? Do we want to say
do.
that yet?
I could say that.
Okay, yeah.
I don't know if
Just
my
let me know.
manager's going to be happy, but who cares? It's called The Blowback.
Nice.
Yeah,
Okay, cool. 12 songs.
12 songs.
How long does it take to write 12 songs?
Depending on what's going on in my life, I feel like if a traumatic event happens, it's pretty quick.
Yeah.
If I'm just kind of going and it's all good, usually takes me longer.
Sure.
So that's kind of where I draw inspiration from. And last year was a tough one, so got a full album out of it.
Sometimes I get what you're saying.
Yeah.
On a scale of 1 to 10, how much trauma did you experience today on this show?
0. It was
Okay.
all positive
Great.
vibes, just so fun.
We're trying to cut back on the amount of
The drama.
trauma, and just try to focus on the gear and the players. So, Man, that's fantastic. We're definitely going to be putting links to Emily's social media channels and, you know, where you can find her music and stuff in the description of these videos. So make sure you stay up to date and keep an eye on Emily because, man, she is continuing to be a rising star. And we're just so stoked here that you are a representative of Epiphone. And these guitars are killer. And we're just, you know, we're just really honored to have them in your hands.
That means a lot.
You know?
I mean, honestly, it's my favorite brand of guitar. And I'm not just saying that because I'm an Epiphone artist. It's truly, they're workhorses, you know?
Yeah.
And I drop a lot of stuff on the road.
Sure.
And they never break. They're always just so reliable. You know, they're just the best guitar that I could ever imagine. And getting to design one specifically for how I play is like, I didn't think that would happen. I thought I'd be, you know, maybe 50 or 60 before that would happen, if at all.
Yeah.
So.
No, it's a magical thing. It's just great, and we're just honored and stoked for you. And I am very happy with this new color. I think it's awesome.
Thanks.
I think you made a great choice.
Thanks.
And I look forward to seeing more from you in the future and having you back on.
Thanks.
Thank you so much for joining us. We really had a great time having you. I had a great time having you here.
I had a
great.
blast.
Not enough time.
I know.
Not enough time.
I could talk about this stuff forever.
So, you know, it's just one of those things. It's just a never-ending journey, and, you know, I'm glad that we're all on it.
Me too.
So hopefully we'll see you here very soon.
Oh, I'll be back.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Awesome. Thanks so much, everyone, for watching. If you liked that video, please hit the thumbs up button. Make sure you subscribe to our channel so you can stay up to date on future content like this. Thanks so much.